Spouses who married the cool girl boy from your high school, what are they like now? My sister married the prom king starting running back from her high school. He got fat, but also is a nice dude who makes a killing running some kind of raw materials company. Doesn't talk about the past at all. My brother married the popular girl. She was homecoming queen, prom queen, on varsity teams, in band, an honor roll student, beautiful, and super nice. 17ish years and 2 kids later, she is still a sweetheart, beautiful, and athletic. My mum was the nerdy girl who got all the A's and had 0 social skills, and somehow managed to start dating my dad, who was the popular, good-looking guy who everyone thought would peak in high school. She was actually advised by her family and friends that he wouldn't give her the future she was hoping for. They got married at 19, had me when they were 20, and while they were pretty broke the first few years of my life, he paid for my mum to attend law school, started his own business, and 25 years later with 3 kids, they are still so in love and have a pretty cushy life. My dad actually met one of the loud voices who told my mum she was making a big mistake marrying him, and she had said how she always knew he would turn out well, which he found hilarious. My high school friend was the cool guy. Everyone liked him, guys and girls. He never got into fights, was always instantly invited everywhere, and girls totally swooned over him. He's still the same awesome dude, hasn't changed a bit. He married an incredibly hot nurse. I'm an introvert and he's an extrovert. I never knew what to say to him in high school because he was so cool and funny. He intimidated me. Now our differences complement each other, I think, and we're very happy. My dad was super popular, prom king, valedictorian, class president, football captain, etc. He has a high ranking but normal role at a smallish to medium sized company. Pretty normal guy and a good dad. If brought up he will mention his high school years, but he doesn't brag. My wife was the hot girl that everyone gossiped about. She's still super hot but is such a wonderful, supportive, loving person. It makes me sad no one took the time to get to really know her when she was young. Found out recently, 30M, that my dad was extremely popular in high school from my aunt. I had no idea he was an all-star football player with lots of college offers and was prom and homecoming king. Never talks about it, but he's doing well. 2 kids, a dog, and a loving wife. He's still winning. Mom was the cool girl, still is. Still literally gets stopped by strangers talking about how cool, pretty, whatever she looks, acts. But divorced, husband cheated, and widowed. Second husband died, so never really managed to get a happily ever after in romance. I've only seen her as a grown up, of course, but going by pictures what I remember as a kid, she hasn't changed all that much. I think sometimes she's too used to people being in her orbit and will get sad if something happens where she's not involved. Not overtly so, but you can see she's expecting everyone to always want her there. I'm the opposite of this question. I totally peaked in high school, was cheerleading captain, valedictorian, prom queen, super involved and outgoing. Now I'm fat and very unnoticeable, not pretty and maybe not ugly, just bland, and incredibly shy and reserved. Don't really have any friends, but married my high school sweetheart, who was quiet and mostly flew under the radar, and now he is outgoing, successful, and more handsome by the year. My brother was the cool guy in high school. Even now, over 20 years later, he has what we call his fans that follow him everywhere. He has this posse built up of a rotating cast of best friends. He'll shine all his star power on his pick of the week, then move on to another one. He's very charismatic, good looking, life of the party, so it's easy to navigate to him. He married the popular girl and his guy friends' wives are her friends. He can also be selfish, rude, dismissive and condescending. I tend to avoid him mainly because it's always a production with his gaggle of friends always around. I married the cool girl, super athletic, everyone was her friend. We started dating in high school. She's kept up everything people loved about her. Nowadays she isn't as interested in other people and focuses on herself, her career, us and our future. We're planning to buy a house and have kids soon. I'm the breadwinner today, but I'm not so sure if that'll be true in a few years, lol. As it turned out, I married one of the mean girls, didn't go to her school, didn't find out she was considered that till after the divorce. That's how it turned out. Then I dated one of the cool chicks, did go to her school, did know she was considered that, and she was the most amazing human being I've ever known. That one didn't work out either. Now I'm just retired from relationships for a bit. Strike 3 will kill me. My mom was the elite Atlanta debutante and lived a very cushy life at a budding Miami country club. Beautiful and very popular at the private school. My dad grew up on a farm in Virginia. They weren't poor, but they were definitely not refined. Eventually my father's family made it down to Miami after selling the farm. He became the lifeguard at the country club pool where my mom spent days lounging about. My parents say they saw each other and that was it. The scandal was great, the debutante and the lowly lifeguard. They just celebrated 54 years of marriage. My lowly lifeguard father made quite the life for my mom regardless of what all those elite twats said was going to happen. She gladly left the country club life for him and they are still so utterly in love, it's crazy. He carries a photo of her at the pool where they met. The only references she makes to being that girl are that they proved everyone wrong. They are beautiful and I love their story. My mom was the cool girl all through high school, undergrad, grad school, but life didn't go that well. For most of her life, she had to be caring for someone in the family who was ill, and that took a huge toll on her. First it was her dad, then it was me. I had childhood illnesses, then her in-laws in quick succession, then her dad again, and finally she had to nurse my dad until he passed away from a terminal illness. She was meant to be social and have fun, and instead she was forced to be around sickness and sadness for her best years. But she is a very happy and mentally strong person in general who made the best of things. She hosted a lot of people and events. My house growing up was full of people visiting and having fun. She's very charming and easy to talk to, and has a lot of fans all the time. Though, my siblings and I find her social side rather annoying. She isn't like that with us, and she tells us her charming side is just an act, and the real her is the lady who is constantly critical of us for our own good. She likes having groupies hanging around. People who are happy to take her help and be grateful to her. She has very few friends who could be considered her equals. She also expects a lot from other people and is constantly disappointed. She wants to be the center of everything. She doesn't know to be a guest at anything. She somehow ends up running every event she's invited to. She sincerely believes she's helping, but it's just disrespectful sometimes, and when we tell her that, she doesn't get it. She likes to dominate everything and make decisions for everyone. We joke that if the Prime Minister was her friend, she'd somehow end up running the country for him. I hate to be the one that bursts everyone's bubble, but my husband was the good-looking athletic guy with a great sense of humor that all of the girls adored. I was the petite blue-eyed blonde cheerleader that he chased for all 4 years in high school. We ended up getting together after high school graduation and were engaged 6 months later. I should have kept running from him like I did in school. He's now an addict who is verbally and emotionally abusive. He's a compulsive liar and he's stolen prescription medication from me to get high. He's very jealous and has accused me of having an affair with every male I've ever worked with. All without any merit whatsoever. It got so bad at one point that he told me I needed to quit my job and stay home with my son. Then he criticized me for not having a job. I teach high school English, and he is jealous of my male students because he claims he sees the way they watch me and look at me. He's made my life hell. He criticizes and ridicules me for being a diabetic, saying he never intended to marry a cripple, which is hardly the case. I'm happy to say that he'll be getting served with divorce papers very soon. God help the woman who takes my place because he can't do anything for himself. He's never paid a bill, made his own doctor appointments, etc. He's exhausting. He's also that guy who likes to tell our son what a stud he was in school and how he eventually got the girl he wanted. While dating, he portrayed himself to be the man he thought I would see as husband material. However, I quickly saw it was all an act shortly after we married. If I had it to do over, I would have left the country to avoid him. The only good thing to come out of our marriage is my son. I'm sorry that my story was the nightmare in the bunch. I'm just keeping it real. I sat next to the popular guy every day pretty much for 5 years and I was so afraid of speaking to him. I'd watched him and his friends picking each other up and shoving the chosen one into lockers, or chasing each other around into a pile-on and throwing their shoes at each other. Typical school They were rowdy and loud and intimidating, but he was the quiet yet seriously funny one and I crushed on him hard for years. He remembers me as the little blonde girl who didn't speak to anyone because I was so anxious all the time. He also protected his sister from some a-holes every break time and she'd come to find him for safety from bullies. Should have spoken to him sooner when school finished, because we have the same music taste and we get on well enough now at 26 that we have a 6-month-old daughter together. My daughter from a previous relationship and we just got engaged last weekend. I adore him. He's handsome, charming and funny and I would do anything for this man as he would for me. My brother was one of the hottest guys in high school and went on to be a model. He's still cool and hot to many but now he's a bit fat. He's my brother so you want the hot part in my opinion. But women still swoon and he's so obnoxious. Think Matt Dillon, etc. Era. He got dumped by his model 17 years younger wife for a 26-year-old. He has impossible standards and it's making him miserable. He's into these flashy shallow women. Overall he's doing really well and his business is thriving. I married one of our high school sweethearts. We started dating there in the late 70s. A girl everyone loved. Long straight hair down to her rear end. Smiled all the time. Always in the beauty contestant shows and always generous and friendly. Fast forward to now and she is still good looking and does not look her age of 60. Great mother and grandmother and still as good a person now as she was when I met her in 77. Not me but my mom married my dad who was hot. They met in college when he was an absolute hellion, but since then he became a doctor. Still a really fun dude. He's also a licensed contractor so when he was bored he built a 6,000 square foot barn in our backyard over 10 years completely on his own. Absolutely stand up dude. Dated a popular class clown out of high school. Got pregnant. He was a pretty big deadbeat. Ended up marrying a nerd a few grades above me. Years later, we have 2 more kids and he is an amazing dad to all 3 of the kids. He is also a goddamn snack and a half. Been together for a decade. Not sure if he was necessarily cool but my dad was prefect and head boy of his school. Got along nicely with everyone and was responsible. They didn't have prom there so that was the highest honor you could probably get. Worked hard and all and had his classmates help to tutor him. His grades didn't end up great because he came in late to school once and got after school detentions. He would go home late and finish homework overnight, then get up at the crack of dawn to wash his father's bus and be late to school again. More detentions. He dropped out and transferred to another school. Now he's a retired policeman who is working in security to send me and my siblings to school. Does his best still. In my mom's view he's still handsome and she calls him a multitude of cutesy nicknames that he pretends to hate. Life is always as tough as normal but he keeps going. Husband and I went to different schools in different areas of the state. I guess he was kind of the cool bad boy of his school. While I did not know him during that time I can tell you that we have been together for 24 years and he is the most wonderful husband and father. I think he was grossly misunderstood back then and would love to tell those teachers who basically said he would be nothing off. I always think about this guy in my HS. He was super popular and the best friend of the worst bully I ever had. I won't say his name but he went on to be a pro football player and I always idolized him because of his actions on one single day. He pulled me aside and told me that he noticed I almost never ate lunch. He gave me $20 and told me to make sure I ate well and that he was sorry he was so mean to me. For anyone who has ever hesitated on apologizing, I will never forget that person and I will never think he didn't deserve his popularity. I was picked on, but better.